Welcome to the Back to the Future podcast. My name is Andrew. Today we're going to be talking about the Rise of Skywalker. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review. We're going to dive deep into this movie. There's a lot to unpack, but today I am joined by Chris Kinn.
Hi, everybody.
So let's go ahead. We're going to jump on into this. Once again, if you have not seen this movie, first of all, what are you doing with your life? And second of all, go see this movie. Hit pause, save for later, come back and watch it after you've already seen the movie. So go ahead.
Real quick, what kind of animal would listen to a podcast about a movie you haven't seen?
Star Wars fans?
That's true. Okay,
we're getting
that kind of animal.
We're getting started early here.
That's true. It's like, I want more reasons to hate this movie.
So we'll start right at the beginning. So Kylo Ren, right off the bat, we jump into almost like a montage type of thing, which Star Wars typically does not do. I don't think it's ever done.
No,
but
I can't think of.
It's almost like a montage of him looking for this wayfinder and him just fighting his way through all these.
Eye of the Tiger playing in the
people.
background.
It would have been that, or I saw a video of him. And it's like, I need a hero, like in the background.
That's better. That's much better.
So he's finding a wayfinder, which definitely seems like a page one right of what to call these things. And
yes.
They're just like, we're going to keep it simple. We want everyone to understand what's happening. And I get it, because some of these Star Wars words are very confusing. Exegol, which is what the wayfinder helps you find, is the home of the Sith, if you will.
Yep.
So he goes to find the transmission he's been hearing, which is apparently Lord
Palpatine has a podcast, and he's been sending it out to the universe and he's been sending out messages saying, "Hey, I'm back."
You heard it here, folks. Podcast will be the end of the universe. This one in the lead right here.
I'm telling you, Palpatine has his own podcast. Welcome back.
So tell me your thoughts, Chris, as far as when Kylo Ren gets to the Sith planet, and we see the Emperor for the first time again.
It's great. I kind of wish I hadn't been spoiled in the previews and the trailers that we knew the Emperor was kind of back. But it was good to bring him back. I wish there had been just hints of it in the other two movies.
Right, because it was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's definitely out of nowhere. And I don't want to have to read. Not that I mind reading comic books or playing a video game or Fortnite or anything, but in order to get the backstory. But this is kind of important. I would like to have seen a little bit of it before. But it was a good reveal. I mean, and Ian McDiarmid is a scary Emperor. He plays the Emperor like nobody else could ever play the Emperor.
It's true.
And he chooses scenery and he plays it really well.
Yeah, my thing was, I was surprised how quickly we got there.
Yeah.
I mean, they wasted no time. We're like maybe 5 minutes into the movie, and it's like, boom, there's Palpatine. And I'm like, okay, well, that's one way to do it. Like, I wasn't against it. I was just shocked.
Right.
I thought it was going to be one of those bigger reveal things. But then you kind of understand, to an extent, why they had to do it like that, because obviously he not only has been apparently a background player this whole time, but he's very much pulling the strings in what's happening in this movie.
Right.
So, like, if he doesn't give the orders of what and tell Kylo Ren what's going on, then everything else that transpires really doesn't happen, essentially, the way that it does. I was kind of in the same boat with you, where I almost wish they hadn't revealed it, but although in the trailers with the voice thing,
yeah.
I never thought he would be in person. I thought he was going to be a Sith
Force ghost,
because we'd never
had that. You know what, I was expecting that too.
Because we'd never had that before with the Sith. And, who's to say only Jedi can do that? We don't know the powers of how deep these things go between the power of the Jedi and the power of the Sith. And maybe there is some sort of text out there that says only Jedi can do this because of the light side. I don't know. Like you said, it's hard to really know everything about Star Wars because there's just so much content to go into.
I'm sure there is a 12-part comic book series that details how Palpatine, survived Death Star 2's explosion and landed on Endor and survived off Ewok meat for a few years until he finally managed to get back to his Sith homeworld. But again, it would have been nice to have a hint of that.
Yeah, just a little something there. So basically, the Emperor tells Kylo Ren a little bit of what's going on. Tells him he needs to go out and seek out this girl that he's been trying to for the last two movies and kill her,
right?
Like he hasn't tried before,
right?
Well, has he really tried?
You
though?
know what? There's some romance going on there,
just a little bit.
Yeah, there's some sexual tension for sure.
And so it jumps straight from that. You think it's going to jump straight to Rey, because they're talking about her. But nope, it kind of fakes you out, goes over to Poe and Finn on the Millennium Falcon with Chewie, and they're seeking out information from a spy in the First Order. And so, it's all very mysterious in that sense. That is, I will say, one of the coolest planets I've ever seen. I don't know if you can call it a planet.
That
ice castle in the sky
thing. Yeah.
that was really cool.
I am positive in Star Tours right now. Because I know they were updating Star Tours for this movie, and that was just like, well, this is the Star Tours segment.
I want that.
Yeah. No, it was perfect.
I wanted to be able to do the one from The Last Jedi with the red sand. I've never been able to do that one.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Every time I go, I swear I get on the same exact ride.
Naboo.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the Naboo.
They
can get rid of Naboo. Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, the ice planet thing, which was just very cool looking on the inside, not what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
Very mechanical based. And I just love the guy's voice. He's like, they're getting the information, and Finn's like, how can we ever repay you? Win the war. Such a great voice.
Yeah.
And then we get some great Millennium Falcon action going on there.
Yeah.
It's cool to see, the cockpit, full, like all the characters that we have. Obviously,
new squid character thing, whatever
that thing was.
I'm sure it has 6 action figures by now. But,
probably. Yeah, and a Hot Toys coming down the line.
A Black Series.
But yeah, so we do all of that. There's a little bit of action, a lot of Millennium Falcon moves. Love the fact that like Finn has mastered the gun, that confusing gun on the Millennium Falcon. I still don't know how that thing works. I don't think anybody does.
No. I think it's changed positions a couple of times, like where it's on the ship, like it just, especially in the first early movies.
But let me know what you're thinking as far as like early on in the movie, like where your head's at.
No, I'm all in. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. Now I'm all in. I'm loving the action, and I love Finn and Poe's chemistry. The two of them work really well together, and I wish this movie had the most of them really doing stuff together of all the movies, and I'm very happy about that. Every time that they're on screen together interacting, it's a great moment. The moment that comes up in a little bit where, towards the middle of the movie where he's like, you were a spice runner? It's like, you were a stormtrooper? We can do this all day. That kind of stuff is great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the actor's name, but the guy that plays Poe Dameron, he does so well in this role.
Yeah.
Like, I know that he's essentially the Han Solo of the group, but like, it is his own character at the same time. He just has similarities to the character, and I think, in my opinion, he's more witty than Han Solo was.
I think he's smarter than Han Solo.
Probably.
Yeah. Han's got a lot of charm that gets him through most stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Just something I heard on the way here, I was listening to another podcast, just to divert for a second, that I'm so sorry that we missed in the first new Star Wars movie. That scene where Han was on the ship and all the bounty hunter guys are coming after Han, and he sets loose whatever the graboid thing is that's rolling through the ship. You know why? All those guys are extras from the raid.
Yes.
Okay, because there was supposed to be a huge fight scene, and it was supposed to be kinetic and just kind of like the raid.
Right.
But Harrison Ford broke his foot, so they had to redo it.
That's
I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
I'm sad that I know that now.
About how they were going to use them as far as with that the scene, like very action heavy. But I did know that they were all from the raid.
Yeah. I knew they were, and I knew that they were from the raid. I didn't know why they were cast in roles that were not action heavy.
Yeah,
and
especially
that's
to be
the
gone
reason
in like
why
5 minutes.
Made me so sad. But I'm sorry. Let's go back to the movie we're actually here to review.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at. I'm in. I'm having a good time. I have a good time throughout the entire movie. But no, it's great. It's great chase scene stuff. It's the Millennium Falcon doing what the Millennium Falcon does best, except for breakdown.
Hunk of junk.
Hunk of junk. That's what it does best, is really break down. So.
I still when once again to talk about The Force Awakens, when she's like, oh, that essentially says like, oh, that hunk of junk, it'll never
that's
fly.
Garbage.
And then you finally see it as like, all right, the garbage will do. And I'm like, how dare you, ma'am? How dare you?
You know how quickly that did the Kessel Run?
Yes.
Which was explained in far too much detail in Solo.
Yeah, it was, and she's like, oh, they did it in 14 parts. It's like, 12. How dare you?
Right. Okay, so, and then I guess we jump to, they come back to that jungle planet,
Yes.
that Leia's on.
And we finally see Rey and Leia and all
Right.
that.
And they're having to film on a jungle planet because, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher passed away. And so they're having to reuse all footage from previous movies and digitally change her hairstyle and clothing and stuff, which is sad. She was supposed... I think she's top billed in this movie. I think Carrie Fisher was top billed. And this was supposed to be hers. The first one's Han, second one's Luke, and this is supposed to be Leia.
Yeah.
And I think it hurt this movie that she died. I would have... And, nothing you can do about it.
Well, and it's quite surprising because she died before the second movie came out.
Right.
And so they hadn't even started on the third movie as far as filming, as far as I'm aware. And so to have to essentially start from scratch with that, because like the difference is, well, I was constantly making comparisons after seeing this movie of like with Paul Walker.
Wow.
In I think it was the 7th Fast and Furious movie, because they were halfway done filming with that movie when he passed away. And so they used his brother as a body double. And they did the reason I compare it is because they did very similar things with this movie where they got a body double to do the back shots.
Right. Where she hugging people and stuff.
Hugging people, or you see
people.
the back end of her head or something like that in a shot where she's talking to somebody. That's why they didn't do like side on shots and things like that. And they tried to work around it as best as possible and to give, in my opinion, like a good send-off for that character type of thing. Because seeing The Last Jedi, I don't know why I thought this would be the case, but when she blew out of the ship, I was like, holy crap,
I
are
thought
they
she was
really
dead.
going to end it like that? Especially she just died.
Right.
And I was like, is this really how it's going to be? Because I knew that they did do some rewrite on that, even the second movie because of what happened.
Right.
And like reshoots and stuff like that. And so I thought it was over. I was like, holy crap. And then sure enough, she's back, and then she's in this movie. And I think they utilized that character very well for what they had
for
to
what
work
they
on.
had. It's amazing what they accomplished. But overall, I think it hurts the film that Leia couldn't have a presence.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I get that. I mean,
yeah,
because you can only do so much.
Right.
You only have so much film to work with because you're only working with the 2 previous movies
Right.
as far as like actual footage of her type of thing. Audio, you can kind of work with that
Right.
and pull from other things, but visually you only have B-roll from 2 previous films to work with and cut it on top of, whatever you're trying to do here on a completely different planet on top of that. And so it's, like you said, it hurts it in a sense because of what happened, but I feel like they did the best that they could.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. They made the best of what they could, and they did a very good job of that. But that would be my regret of the movie, obviously.
Yeah.
I wish Carrie Fisher was still with us. So
it was very interesting right off the bat where, Rey's doing her training. She's still working on everything, and she calls Leia Master.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, that's a little odd. I mean, I know that she showed
Force
capabilities
powers,
in the previous movie, but that was the first time that we had seen that. And then we don't find out, jumping ahead a little bit, we don't find out till later in the movie that Luke was actually training her. Now this is stuff that probably was covered in books and comics and things like that. That not the expanded universe, because that's all been debunked or whatever. But what Disney and Lucasfilm has set up with the new canon, it's probably in there somewhere. But for the people that just watch the shows, just watch the movies, we don't know this stuff. So that was very surprising, especially the scene when you actually see them training. That was very interesting to see that she was actually training to become a Jedi.
Right.
So
she had her lightsaber and everything.
So then when I went back and saw this movie a second time, that was less jarring for me with the whole master concept, because you have it in your head finally that it's like, oh, she is essentially a Jedi. She did all her training that she needed to do. She just decided to step back and not pursue that life, if you will.
Right.
So when we're on this planet and they're essentially preparing for whatever the next battle is going to be, they come to realize that Palpatine does have this podcast. And they're, transcribing the message essentially and understanding that it's basically him saying that the resistance is over, the new empire will reign. And what we didn't touch on the opening segment here is about the new fleet.
Oh yeah.
Now they don't know about the fleet yet.
Right.
However, it is something to behold, if nothing else. Like I was when that scene happened, I was like, holy cow. Now, I remember we got a glimpse of it in the trailer, but I don't think anybody knew what that really was. Right. We didn't know if it was some sort of a cut of a flashback of like anything like that, but this is a larger fleet than any Empire or otherwise First Order has ever had, and he's calling it the Final Order.
Yep.
So now they do realize, they do find out through Luke,
the spy also. The spy information is the one that tells them that Palpatine is on Exegol.
Oh, okay.
And then she finds out through Luke's notes that the Sith Wayfinder can lead them there. So it's that combination of information.
Got it.
And then Rey wants to I'm going to head out by myself again. And everybody else is like, no, you're not. We're coming with you.
Not going to happen.
It's a better movie when we're all together.
Yeah, a lot of we got to go to here to get this.
It is very video gamey. It's it's a fetch quest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you face the big boss every once in a while.
Yep, exactly. So they head off to this planet that is kind of deserty, right? It's
another
desert planet with like these pig kind of looking creatures that are at this 32-year-old 42. Sorry, yeah, because it's
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Yeah, for those of you that may not know, when they say that this celebration happens only every 42 years, that's a reference to how long Star Wars has been around.
Right. So they go to Pig Burning Man, and they run into Lando. They see that there's New Order there. They see some stormtroopers, and they're like, "Wow, we're not pig people. We're gonna really stand out." And they're trying to hide, and then Lando's like, "Jump in my little junk or whatever thing." I love
when they're like, "Don't stick out, Chewie. Crouch down." And he's just like trying to go below. He's like 3 feet taller than everybody else.
Right. And also he's a giant hairy Bigfoot compared to all the pig people.
But yeah, they run into well, they don't know it's Lando, and then they find out 2 seconds later it's Lando. Right. And you get to have that great moment. You finally see him in the new trilogy.
Yeah.
He's just as great as always.
He is slick. Billy Dee Williams needed to be in more of these movies.
He's just so smooth. Yeah. So smooth.
Yeah. Maybe they used him just a little bit in this movie, and it was maybe just the right amount, because maybe if they used him too much, I'd be like, okay, Billy, go away. But he was great. He was absolutely great. Maybe a little too smooth. We'll talk about the ending where it was a little...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. But
I do love the part when he says, "Give Leia my love."
That
was the first part. I was like, right in the heartstrings.
Yeah.
I was just like,
had Carrie Fisher maybe been alive, it's like, she's still single now, right?
Yeah.
Her and Han broke up.
Probably.
Yeah. And then Kylo figures out where Rey is through their Force bond, so
Correct.
He starts sending his subordinates there, the Knights of Ren, and himself head to that planet.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my biggest gripe of the entire movie. I did love this movie, but this is my biggest disappointment really with the whole series. They hyped up the Knights of Ren for 3 films, and they were so underutilized. Not only throughout, but I thought we would finally get some use out of them in this movie, and we didn't.
Yeah. Not a voice really from them. No personalities.
Nothing.
No, I don't think we got a name of any of the individual.
And if I remember correctly, no, we never got confirmation of this. If I'm remembering correctly, but these were supposed to be the kids that followed him after he left, so they are Force sensitive.
Right.
Supposed to be.
Right.
Not a one of them used the Force in any way, shape, or form. So I mean, maybe they were early in their training. Maybe they lost, their ability to do it. I don't know. We don't have any explanation on that. But I was looking forward to some very intense battles with the Knights of Ren because of that. Because they were supposedly Force sensitive people that were on the First Order side. So you're going to have, I know the whole rule of 2 thing, only supposed to have 2, but that doesn't mean there's not other Force sensitive people around.
How scary would it have been to see them like rolling in maybe to that jungle planet or something and taking out some of the Rebel Alliance using slight Force powers and pushing people and using, if not lightsabers, something. They would have been terrifying. Instead, I know nothing about them and I don't care.
Yeah, I was watching. It was Kevin Smith's review of the movie, and he talked about when you finally see the Knights of Ren like fully. It was like a boy band shot because it does the circle around when they're standing up on the bridge. It was like a boy band or Creed music video, like one or the other, when they're standing at the top of the hill.
Nice.
It was
Creed.
It was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, they come down and they're the scouts looking
for Rey and everybody
and the ship and whatnot. And
then Rey finds they find the assassin's ship and droid, but not before like running away. They sink into the sand, which is kind of an odd moment. And then and this is the beginning of something that didn't have stakes. Okay, that's one of my problems with this movie is the stakes. Everything that seems to happen that's going to affect them, like they're drowning in sand. Boop. 30 seconds later, they're okay. They're underneath. And then there's a sandworm thing, snake, it's attacking them. 30 seconds later, they're okay. And we'll talk about 3PO. Okay, yeah, he's wiped his memory. They should have left that way, in my opinion. And we'll talk about that. But lots of stakes that were not real stakes. Everything's fine a couple of minutes later. But they do end up in this little underground snake cave where, for the first time, except for 3 days prior on The Mandalorian, we see Force healing powers.
Yes.
So, are you current on The Mandalorian?
I am,
okay.
All the way watched up.
Okay. So, and spoilers, obviously, from The Mandalorian, too. But we just saw 2 days ago Baby Yoda. Now, in all the comics and everything, we've seen Force healing before, but we saw Baby Yoda heal somebody for the first time using the power of the Force. So that was a cool little connection, I thought. I think they did that on purpose.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why they released it a couple days prior than what they normally do, because they wanted you to be able to have that
put that connection. It's like, oh, okay, Force powers have been around, the healing powers have been around.
Other people that don't know the comics and stuff like that would be like, no one's ever done this before. Where in the world did this come from?
Right.
Type of thing. They're hoping that the majority of people going to see this movie are also watching the Mandalorian and make that connection automatically. Yeah. So that was a really cool tie-in.
Yeah, it was a nice little tie-in. So they end up getting the ship and they find the next cutest droid ever, Dio.
Yes.
Who has the first droid that's a small droid like that I've ever seen that has a voice. It actually talks. It's
not just
beeps and clicks and stuff like that, which seems a lot more efficient than what R2, you have to speak binary in order to talk to R2 or to BB-8.
And yet everyone understands.
Yeah, everybody understands. Or BB-8. So Dio is very cute. I think BB-8's cuter, but
no, thank you.
It's like no, thank you. Didn't want to be touched. It had been abused by its previous master, who was apparently a big dick. And they get the dagger, right?
Yes,
they find the dagger.
They found the dagger in the pit. That's inscribed using Sith lettering, if you will. And so C-3PO can't translate it, but can because he can understand it, but he's not able to speak it.
Right.
Due to his programming by the Republic, I believe it was. Yeah. Or the New Republic, or whoever
said, no,
him
bad.
Said you can't speak it. I don't really know why, but
maybe
it's like a Harry Potter thing where they're like, if you speak it, they'll come. Don't say his name.
I guess.
Don't say his name.
I don't know. It's a little,
it's a little odd.
Yeah, it is a little odd.
And so they're trying to figure out where else they can do.
Don't we have a book that has this? Nobody ever wrote this stuff down.
Yeah, they're like, where else can we find? And they have an idea, but they have to take the bounty hunter ship in order to do it. Well, Rey senses that Kylo Ren has reached the planet, and so we get to see that crazy clip that we saw in the first trailer, I believe it was, where she does that running backwards flip type thing. Only this time we see she cuts right through the ship.
Yeah.
That was a amazing shot, by the way. Really well choreographed, seamless, and like you see the training that if you've ever seen any of the training videos that Daisy Ridley.
There we go.
Yeah, if you ever see any of the training videos that Daisy Ridley does, she takes this stuff very seriously. Like I saw one where she's like doing backflips and stuff like that, and doing like cartwheels and stuff like that with the lightsaber and like flinging it overhead. You don't get a lot of that in the movie, but it's good to know she's prepared for it.
Yeah.
You get small moments like this one, and so like yes, obviously it's wire work and blah 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 blah, but it looks cool.
It's physical still. It's impressive.
Physical.
It's impressive.
Very impressive. And the funniest part for me is, just another one of those, like, he's just casually walking away from the fire after Kylo Ren crashes. He's just like, yeah, no, that wasn't going to kill me.
Yeah.
But we get the moment. So we saw just seconds prior that Chewie had been captured by the Knights of Ren. Right. And that they were putting him on a ship. And then we see a ship flying off into the distance, and good old Finn with his screaming ability. It's like, Ray! You know, just, they got Chewie.
Chewie's on that ship.
And
for sure, that ship. No other ship. That's the only one.
And so we have the moment she's trying to grab the ship out of the sky using the Force. And, you know, that's the first time I believe that we really see her really using the Force, like other than just to grab the lightsaber or something like that.
Right, or move some rocks out of the way in the last movie.
She's trying to pull a ship out of the sky.
Right.
And, you know, you can see the struggle on her face because it's, you know, flying off. And then, of course, Kylo Ren is essentially doing the same thing, but in the opposite direction.
Right. Tug of war.
I thought that the ship was going to rip in half.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, explode because of that.
Ripping in half would have been great, and then Chewie just falls out the middle.
That's what I thought was going to happen, or like it was going to rip and then explode or something like that. But no, we were not quite as lucky for that. It was, you know, she's getting angry and she's getting upset.
Yeah.
And then we see her hands start to spark, and then finally just whoosh out of her hands the lightning.
Yeah, Force lightning.
We've only seen from Sith. Mostly in the prequels.
Right.
And then obviously Palpatine in
yeah.
the original trilogy. Shooting out of her hands, hits the ship, and it just instantly explodes. I have never been so emotionally distraught in a movie in my entire life. I literally started crying in the theaters because I thought Chewie was dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that they would kill him, because that's dumb. But it's the last movie of the entire series. Like, if they've killed everybody else,
that's
essentially. True. You know, he's the only person left at this point.
Yeah.
And so the ship explodes. She sees what she's done. She can't believe it. She's emotionally distraught, screaming out Chewie. And I swear me and my wife are doing this. I'm like, Chewie, no. And I'm like, there's literal tears running down my face. And my wife's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. And and so, like, I have to ask, at that moment, like, did you think that...
I didn't think he was dead at all.
You didn't think he was dead at all?
They didn't show a hero shot of Chewie, like, choking a stormtrooper.
Going out
going out. They weren't going to show him dying, but an explosion that far away. And I'm just like... And it took me out of it a little bit. That was, in my opinion... I wish I'd had your experience where I had been upset by it.
Yeah.
I wish I had bought into it. But I was like,
well, see,
they can't.
See, I'm glad they didn't take long to reveal.
Yeah.
Because that would have ruined my my experience, because I was so upset by that move, because yes, it doesn't really make sense, but in the moment you just don't know what to expect. Right. And like, especially with the way they've done this new trilogy, you don't know.
That's true.
I mean, think about the way that Luke went out.
That's true.
Type of thing. Like, it was kind of a blaze of glory, but not really at the same time. Like, you just don't know. And JJ loves to do these, fake outs
does.
These, twists and turns and stuff like that. So I just never count against him.
Right.
Luckily, literally like 60 seconds later, we find out that he's alive. And I was like, oh, okay, I can enjoy the rest of the movie now. Because I was just I was like, this is going to ruin the entire movie for me. I'm going to be upset the whole time. So we jump over to...
Poe suggests traveling to Kimji, whatever, another planet, Kimji, to have the Sith text extracted by another cute creature they can sell toys of, from C-3PO's memory.
Right, because it's in there, but he can't say it.
The process is going to wipe out C-3PO's memory. And they're like, Finn's especially like, yeah, let's do that. And 3PO's like, what?
Excuse me, what?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe that was a little bit, this was inspired a little bit by the last movie, where like, okay, why did there have to be a human pilot on the ship that shot that Resistance ship into the Star Destroyer? Why couldn't there plenty of droids around? 3PO, we're going to put you in the captain's seat. Press this button. Boom!
Yeah, they pulled a Star Trek on that one.
Right. Yeah,
and it wasn't even J.J. Abrams directing this time.
Right. So, but I'm wondering if that was maybe a little bit of the answer. It's like, okay, we'll fuck up a droid. It's okay. But, so they, after some discussion, they decide, okay, we're going to go to this planet. Poe has some contacts there. It's super New Order. Like, the New Order's all over this planet.
Yeah. And we meet, like you said, was it Babu Freak? I believe was the character's
Babu
name.
Freak, I think is his
Babu
name.
Frick or something like that.
Something like that. And he's like, yeah! He's tiny and he's very cute and he's very animated. And
that character was funny.
He was cute.
Like,
when he shows up at the end,
he's like, droid go.
And they also meet Zori Bliss, which Poe has a previous relationship with of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
That she is mad at him for like, I don't know,
leaving
the group or something where they used to run Spice.
Yes.
And that's where you have that great exchange. Or like, you were a Spice runner, you were a stormtrooper, we can do this all day.
Yeah. You were a junk trader. You know?
Yeah. So Rey senses that Chewbacca's alive. So they decide to mount a rescue mission.
Because the First Order shows up at that planet,
right?
With like the main ship,
right?
With Kylo Ren and everything on it, and she senses that Chewbacca is alive, so they realize that they have to go up there and try and save him.
Right.
So Poe's friend gives him that coin. That gives them access so that they can get through like the shields and stuff like that.
Yep.
Can get passage anywhere and everything. So they get on the ship and they go to rescue Chewie. They have to split up. She goes to get the dagger because she senses that for some reason it's important. And Poe and Finn go to rescue Chewie.
Right. Well, Kylo's back down on the ground on the planet looking for them.
Yes.
So doesn't see them. So she manages to find the dagger, has visions of her parents being killed with it. And then they have that moment of crossover where they realize where each other are.
Yes.
And this is the first crossover, I think, for this film, where they have their
second.
like force link. Okay, second.
The first one was on the desert planet.
That's right. But this is the second.
He grabs the necklace from her.
That's right. Which it shows you that they can bring physical objects from one location to another, which pays off later.
Yes.
Didn't see that coming. It was a good moment.
Yes.
Towards the end, we'll get to that. Then Kylo informs her she is Palpatine's granddaughter. Dun, dun, dun. And then a great moment, because there's been a mole like giving information about the First Order, and that mole is General Hux. Yes,
never saw that coming.
No, did not see it coming. Well,
when the moment comes,
when the moment comes,
you're
it
like,
makes sense.
You're like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
but,
he's sick of
Kylo
Ren's shit, and he's like, we're no longer the buddy group. He's choked me too many times.
Yeah,
I know how this ends.
I love how he's like, they're like, why are you doing this? He's like, I don't care about your resistance. I just want Kylo Ren to fail.
right. Which, okay, I've had feelings about people like that before. I understand
like,
that.
I've had horrible bosses before, you know?
It's like, I want this business to crash and burn. I work for it. I don't care. I just want it to go down because I hate you.
So funny. But I love the reveal because you just hear pew pew pew, and then it turns and he goes, "I'm the spy."
Yeah,
and we're like, okay,
you
didn't have to say it, but
it makes sense. And then he tells him like, shoot me in the arm or whatever.
They'll know.
Yeah, they'll know. And he shoots him in the leg and dead. He's like, ah.
And then about 60 seconds later, he's dead.
Like, oh no, they shot me in the leg. Obviously, I'm not the spy. So
that other guy was not playing.
No,
he's like, no questions asked. You're the spy. You're dead.
Yep.
I was surprised when that happened. When he went out that quick, I was like, holy cow! They didn't even question him or nothing. He was just like, you're dead,
which was good in a way. I kind of liked it. I didn't need a lot of Hux being interrogated or running around still until he's finally
in the
down.
first and the second movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like this other guy kind of took his spot in this movie because obviously he has a bigger connection to the Emperor than even I think we realize. Like they touch on it a little bit, but I think he has some sort of a tie-in to the original trilogy that we just don't know about.
Oh, I'm sure there's the 12-part comic book series. You know,
there's a mini series.
There's a
somewhere.
Fortnite bonus pack that'll tell you that story. Let's see. The group arrives on Kif Bur, where Rey locates the Wayfinder on the remains of the second Death Star. So this is a planet or maybe a moon of Endor. Another one of Endor, because that's where
I think something to that effect.
Yeah, so it's around Endor, and then. Oh, and they saved Chewie, obviously. They grabbed Chewie.
Yes, they did.
We kind of skipped over that, and they escaped on the Falcon.
So we're on this planet with the destruction of the second Death Star. She has to take the ship, that little skimmer, over to get over there because the dagger essentially told her where to find the second Wayfinder. Right. Because he only made 2.
Right, which is an Emperor's executive bathroom on Death Star 2.
Yes, a little hidden hideaway there.
It's in my podcast studio.
So she finally makes her way up. You see the throne, the small throne of where Palpatine would sit on the ship, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was
the
a nice
window
callback
and everything
from
that.
Jedi. Yeah.
And then the door just opens for her, probably because of the bloodline. I assume it has some sort of sensory type of thing. That's just my assumption.
You know what? Say what you will about the Death Star. Well made.
Very well made.
Those doors would open back up after that many years.
She goes in there and she finds the Wayfinder, but not before having a vision of sorts. She senses something and she looks, and it's her with basically the updated version of Darth Maul's saber that folds, apparently, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I would have seen a little bit more of that.
Yeah, that would have been nice to have seen.
I kind of figured, because they that's another thing they spoiled in the trailer, but it was a fake out.
Yeah.
It was a traditional JJ fake out. Where you think there's part of you is like, maybe she's going to turn, like maybe they're going to switch roles here, type of thing, but it's just a vision of what she could be if she accepts, who her family is, what her lineage is, and things like that. But I love the look of that saber.
Yeah, it was a good look at the saber. I mean, impractical. But,
for sure.
But I mean, and I don't know, Jedis and Sith are kind of like, screw practicality. It's badass looking.
Think about
I don't care.
Kylo Ren's saber.
Yeah.
Like, the only way that's practical is the fact that it might help him from getting his hand cut off, like all of his family.
Right.
So other than that, it's not super practical.
And a lightsaber is impractical to begin with, because it's basically dueling with a flashlight. There's no counterweight. The rest of that like blade of plasma weighs nothing.
Can we talk about how it took 42 years for Star Wars to make a flashlight lightsaber joke, and they finally did it in this movie?
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite parts.
That was a great moment. Yes.
But to go back to this, so she has this vision. Essentially, it's kind of like in the first movie when she had that first vision, scares the heck out of her. So she just jumps right out, Wayfinder out with her. And that's when you see Kylo Ren. And at first, I didn't know if that was actually him,
or if it was
another
the crossover thingy.
Yeah. Another force projection or whatever you want to call it. And then he crushes the Wayfinder, and you're like, oh, that's actually him.
Yeah.
And so we get to them fighting
along the spine of with the waves crashing and everything. That's some Ralph McGuire beautiful artwork brought to life. That is something that I picture the writing room blue sky meeting talking about, and then they just brought it together perfectly. It's a great moment in that film.
Oh yeah, really
beautiful,
well filmed.
Epic battle, and just the background is so big and they're so small against it. Really, really good.
It's very, very seamless. Like the fact that all of this is being done on a soundstage. None of this is real. You couldn't tell.
No.
Like, you don't know, because the waves, the fact that they're actually getting wet when things are happening, when the water hits them, it's hitting them. You don't know what is CG and what's real.
Right.
And that is, for a movie like this, when it's 90% CG, essentially, give or take, that is seamless work.
Yep.
That is something that's going to hold up for
for
ages,
a long time. I agree.
And that fight scene is intense, like, to say the least. And then we have the moment where they're battling and they're going back and forth, and obviously Rey is questioning herself, and she's depleted of energy.
Right.
Kylo
has the upper hand kind of in the battle.
We cut to back to Leia, who has this realization. She's like, I don't know if she knows exactly what's happening in this moment, but she just has this feeling that she needs to reach out to her son. I don't know why, after all this time, this is the moment.
This has got to be the moment.
This is the moment. It's, the explanation for everything is the Force.
Right.
The Force tells her it's time.
Right.
So she lays down. She essentially is doing what Luke did in the second movie, just in a different way. So she loves that. And I have to mention that I love the fact that she's holding Han's medal at this moment, because, and this is something I heard on a different review. I think it was Kevin Smith, so I want to make sure I give him credit for this. He talks about how after all the years, that's the version of Han that she truly loved. Like, that's when she fell in love with him, was then when the guy you least likely expected to do the right thing ended up saving everyone at the last possible minute. And after everything, even becoming the father of her child, that's the version of Han that she loves the most. Wow. And the part that she connects with will always hold dear. So that part, like, just talking about it gets me.
You know what? I had not thought of that way. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, because that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is really.
And so when I saw it for the second time, like after listening to Kevin Smith's take on that, I was like, oh yeah, I totally get it now. And so that's a really beautiful moment. And she reaches out to Kylo Ren and or rather Ben,
Right, distracts him
long enough, and he has this moment where he's like, he hesitates, he drops his saber, and another badass moment here for Rey. She grabs it backwards and just stabs him in the stomach with it.
Yep.
And everyone in the theater goes,
like yeah. Like, no recovering from that.
Like nobody thought that like he was like, yeah, obviously he doesn't die, but we were like, there's a small chance that he's done for now.
Well, we've got another bad guy in the wings, so
exactly.
it's acceptable.
We still have like an hour to go.
Right.
There's another bad guy.
Yeah.
The second Sith in the background, so it could happen.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, holy crap, what in the world? And then she senses it because Leia's gone.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, oh shit, I feel terrible now.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
She's like, I'm sorry about your mom. I'm gonna heal you now.
Yeah.
But once again, they touch back on the force healing.
Yep.
Which is a really beautiful moment.
Yeah.
I think, because he'd mentioned earlier in the movie, I wanted you to take my hand, and she was like, no, I'll never do it. And then she tells him, I wanted to take your hand, but as Ben, not as Kylo Ren. And like, you know, all the girls are like, oh, you know?
Poor little emo Sith Lord.
Yeah, he's just misunderstood. It's not a phase, Mom, I swear. You know?
Just like the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
Yes, everything will work out at the end.
Yeah. So Rey takes off at this point.
Yes.
With a ship heading to Octo, which is the planet that Luke marooned himself on.
Correct.
Right. But meanwhile, the best cameo in this film, or in any film I've seen in a long time,
yes,
because I did not know about it at all. I had no idea Harrison Ford was in this.
Oh
movie.
yeah, you hear the voice and you're like,
what? Holy shit! I'm like, and it was such a great moment and you realize it's all in Kylo Ren's head.
Yeah,
and that he's imagining that Han's standing in front of him.
Yeah, he's like, you're not really here.
Yeah,
you're just a memory. He's like, but
it works.
But and he's still Han Solo,
right?
Like he's the dad, like he's saying all these things, but he's still Han Solo. He's still playing it cool.
Yeah.
Even the memory of his dad is still playing it cool in some aspects. And the part that really gets me is, I didn't catch it on the first viewing, but the second viewing is, they go back to the dialogue of the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which I did catch that part where he's saying, I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Right before he goes to throw his lightsaber, he goes to tell his dad, I love him, but he pauses, and his dad just says, I know. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, it was so good.
Yes.
So good. That is really good use of a callback.
Oh, best use of a callback I've ever seen.
Really great.
Especially, like I said, second time knowing what it really meant, and I was like, that's a great way to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally surprised, shocked. I had heard something that he had been seen on set for it, but on no joke, I thought he might have been a Force ghost. I know he's not Force sensitive and stuff like that.
What? I mean, yeah.
But there has been things in the past where I think we've seen like ghosts of people that weren't necessarily Jedi, and stuff like that. So I thought it might be because he's a memory type of thing, that maybe not necessarily a Force ghost, but memory like this, or a flashback. But I didn't think it'd be like this.
No, it was a great use of him. Really great
absolutely
use of him.
Amazing.
So happy we got to see him one more time. So that such a surprise. The fact that had not been spoiled for me made me so happy.
Oh yeah,
so happy. So anyway, so that changes Kylo Ren's heart. So he kind of flips at that point, right?
That's when his heart changes, if you will.
So and then we have Rey back at Luke's old digs, and she's like, crashes her ship, and she's like, I'm done, whatever.
I love how she's throwing firewood into it to try and keep it burning.
Yeah, you know what? This thing survives space, so I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. Got to see the Porgs one more time, a few Porgs, so that was cute. And then Luke shows up and says, as a Force spirit, saying, you should really go fight the Emperor, even if he is your grandfather.
Here's the better part, is she goes to throw the lightsaber in the fire.
Oh, that's right.
He catches it. And that's when we see Force Ghost
can affect
Luke for the first time.
Yeah.
And, we knew they can affect reality because they, Yoda in The Last Jedi made the lightning come down and burn the thing. That's when we knew... Like, maybe not to this effect, but we knew that they could control things in real life.
That's true.
And then we get more of that in this movie between the lightsaber and something else we'll touch on in a second. But he grabs a lightsaber, and I love this because it's a joke about The Last Jedi. He goes, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. As opposed to when he tossed it away.
Right.
He's just joking on himself, essentially. And I know why they did that. Like, people gave that scene so much crap, but there's a reason they did it. It's not because Rian Johnson just wanted to piss people off.
Right.
It's because there's not a single thing that he could have said that would have made up for the build-up.
Yeah.
From The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, waiting 2 years to hear him speak for the first time after 40 years.
Right.
Well, not that many years, but
close.
After like 30 years or something like that. And nothing they could have wrote could have made it better. I loved that part.
Oh, I thought it was good. No,
I thought it was hilarious.
Everybody hates on Luke's arc in that movie. I thought it was good. I thought, this is what freaking Jedis do. They become hermits and they become bitter. I mean, that's think about Yoda was like funny and jokey, kind of. He did the same thing. Yeah, and what's his name? Obi-Wan kind of did the same thing. A little more class.
Yeah.
He's not drinking blue milk right out of the teat.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a
green
mountain
milk
man that snuck away or something.
So he kept it together maybe because he had other people to interact with occasionally.
Right,
but
and he was watching over people and stuff like that.
So we'll find out more about that in the show. I can't wait for that.
I'm so looking forward to that.
But he basically talks her into staying, gives her Leia's lightsaber.
Yes.
Right? And then
that was something.
She leaves in Luke's X-Wing, which, surprise, surprise, even though it's been underwater, Luke manages to raise it up.
Yep, another thing where he uses the Force to move things in the real world as opposed to just, in the Force Ghost realm, if you will, type of thing. He has effects on real life objects. Seeing that was pretty cool.
Right. I would have liked to have seen of him like shaking all the water out of that thing, turning it upside, turning it to the side, to left, right, get all that salt water out of there. Whoever makes X-Wings, though, invest in X-Wings.
Yes.
Because if it can be in underwater for 25 years or whatever and then brought back up and flown, all right. So,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty
And like you said, she the part where she gets Leia's lightsaber and you have that cut scene or you get to see young Luke Skywalker and Leia. That was really
good.
Cool
and well done. It wasn't super jarring like sometimes you've seen the de-aged actors look
kind of like
jarring.
the cuts of the very end scene of Rogue One.
Yeah,
because it's tough because there's so much light.
Yeah,
like they're in a white ship.
Right.
There's a lot of lights. It's dark outside and they have a helmet on, so you literally only can see like
the face,
like of half of their face,
right,
total, and like none of their head. So it's a little, your eyes don't have to adjust as much,
right,
type of thing. But it was really cool seeing that, and like I said, that's when you get the full grasp of how much she really did to become a Jedi and stuff like that. That she really was not only training, but essentially became one, and just decided to step back from that life,
right.
Because she had a vision that her son would die because of her Jedi path,
right.
Things went differently, and
yeah.
She flies off in Luke's X-Wing, off to Exegol.
Yep.
And while she's doing that, she starts sending the coordinates to the Resistance so that they can follow her.
Right, to Exegol.
Because she still has the Wayfinder. It survived her destroying destroying Kylo's ship.
Yeah.
Because it has to.
Yep. Yes.
And so she finally gets to the world of the Sith.
Well, but before that, Palpatine uses his super laser. Basically, it's a Death Star on a Star Destroyer and destroys that one planet.
That's
Kimji.
Right. They use one of those of the ships, which now all have
So he's got a
fleet
fleet of world destroying
ships,
truly Star Destroyers, planet destroyers. So crazy.
They just keep making it more compact and compact.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of a moment that I don't like at the Resistance base, R2 restores C-3PO's memory. I kind of wish his memory had stayed wiped. It would have been fine. 3PO could have still been 3PO. He would have been more like the 3PO from the original movies, which would have been interesting.
Yeah.
And it would have made his willingness.
He already got his memory wiped once, at the end of the prequels,
and it would have made his choice to do this. Where he's like, "I'm taking a look at my friends one last time." It would have made that mean a lot more.
Yeah,
and it's like, "Oh nope, I remember things over the last day and a half."
Yeah, they took a and I hate to do this, but I can understand where they took the Marvel approach.
Yeah.
Where the stakes are essentially removed. Now, Marvel course corrected that with their last couple movies.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
they killed a couple of people.
Before then, the stakes were never really that high with the majority of the superheroes. You knew they were going to make it out. Type of thing. So I get where people are coming from in that. And that's kind of what they did with this is, especially when you see the movie and then you go back and watch it, it's like, well, that part doesn't have as much emotionality to it as it did because it doesn't pay off.
And this is the one chance to do that because it's the last of this. I mean, I'm sure we'll see 3PO and R2 again because, they're droids and they can stick anybody in those suits. Not that Anthony Daniels minds. He does it every single chance he gets to get in that 3PO suit. And then the Resistance follows Rey to Exegol where she confronts Palpatine. He's like, you never visit your grandfather anymore, Rey.
You stuck me in a home.
Yeah. Have some Werthers. Are you eating enough? They have a whole grandfather, daughter moment. But no.
Too good.
So where she confronts Palpatine, he demands that she kill him to transfer his spirit to her. So that's creepy. Then you got the hot young 20-something girl with Palpatine's soul inside.
That and all of the Sith.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
all
true.
All the Sith lives in him.
That's
and
true.
then all the Sith will live in her. And that's when we catch a glimpse of it's all Black Hoods, but apparently all the Sith that came before, which I guess in that sense is the Force ghosts of the Sith.
I'm assuming because, they're just all kind of sitting around. What are they doing with the rest of the time when they're not listening to Palpatine's podcast?
Apparently nothing.
Or, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they must all be the spirits of the Sith, and maybe because of however the power works for them, they don't have the ability to, be other places like the Jedi do when they're Force ghosts type of thing. They're stuck on this world, essentially.
Yeah.
And they can't really affect change the way that they probably would, as opposed to, Mr. Battery Packs still being alive in his original body, essentially.
Right. Basically in the Animus from Assassin's Creed.
It's what it looked like.
Yeah.
The whole time, I'm glad you brought that. The whole time, I'm like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that was pretty much. I saw that. I'm like, oh well, it's an Assassin's Creed movie. And then what's his name? Kylo Ren, or at this point Ben
Solo.
Ben Solo shows up and fights his old cohorts, which could have been a lot cooler. I mean, it was still fun. It was fun that moment. He's no longer wearing his mask, and he jumps onto that chain, and he's like, "Ow!"
Yeah, that was so funny.
That was a very his father moment.
Uh-huh.
So I could see Han Solo doing something similar to that. So that was a great little moment. And then he ends up, just kind of wiping the floor with the Knights of Ren with some very cool moments where he gets his lightsaber back.
The so you're watching and the Resistance has shown up and
they land on the Star Destroyer. They decide this has like the antenna that's able to communicate with everybody, coordinate the attack. So we need to stop that.
They drop on top of the main ship.
Yep, with horses.
Space.
Everybody's got a pony.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like they took a note out of John Wick's book with the last movie. They with all the horses.
Right.
So they're doing that. They're trying to take out essentially the ship that tells all the other ships what to do and how to travel and whatnot. I'm still trying to understand that part under my in my brain, but
pretty much the exact same thing from Phantom Menace.
Oh,
they had to take out the one droid.
You're right.
That controlled all the droids on the planet. But and they're doing that like kind of on the ground, basically on the ship. So
but what we were talking about is she has the lightsabers. She's about to strike him down. And she does like a switcheroo, puts her hand behind her back, and then it's like, oh, the lightsaber's gone. And then you have like the coolest moment where Kylo Ren reveals
pulls out that lightsaber.
He has it. Oh my gosh. That part was good. So cool. I love the look on it. He's just kind of like, yeah, that happened.
Yep.
And then he just destroys the Knights of Ren.
Ben overpowers the Knights of Ren and joins Rey, but Palpatine drains their power together to rejuvenate himself.
Yes.
So he attacks the Resistance fleet with Force lightning. At that point, incapacitates Ben. So all the ships are kind of falling from the sky at this point. So it's a really dire strait. Weakened, Rey hears the voice of past Jedi, which is a great moment. Because it was like, oh, wow, I hear Mace Windu, and I hear Yoda, and I hear, what's his name?
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was very cool. So, and all of them came back apparently to voice their roles,
including Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, from Clone Wars. Yeah,
that was, when I heard that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah. So they really.
I'm in the middle of watching that right now.
Yeah.
So as soon as I heard the voice, I recognized it.
Yeah. So extremely cool moment, and they all kind of come together and help Rey stand back up, and she strikes Palpatine down, right?
So
Palpatine
he tries to do the lightning.
That's
on her,
right,
and she's holding one lightsaber,
That's right.
defending it off, and he's like, "How are you going to destroy me? I am all the Sith." And she goes, "I am all the Jedi." Uses the second lightsaber and just starts throwing it back at him. That was a badass moment.
It was very.
That was one of those good. Being in Dolby, when that happens, they did a bass drop. As soon as the lightsabers hit, it was like that, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. It's that I am inevitable, I am Iron Man moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Palpatine gets destroyed when she reflects the lightning back onto him. He disintegrates and essentially explodes.
Right. So hopefully gone for good this time.
But that has essentially depleted her life force with that move. She falls to the ground. Yeah. We see Ben climb out of the pit that he was thrown into, comes over to her, and he uses his force powers to heal her. But really, it's more like he's transferring his life force into her. Because she did mention when she healed the snake creature, she's like, I transferred some of my life force to this creature. So it takes a part of their life to do this type of stuff. It's not, it's not that it has no effect or anything like that. It's like it takes years off their life type of thing. So I don't know how old she's really going to grow up to be. But essentially it uses that life force, and so they have the moment that all the Kylo or all the Ben and Rey shippers have been waiting for. They have the big kiss, and then he dies.
Yep. Let me say something about the kiss. There are people that complain about it. I thought it was good because
it was good.
They had sexual tension throughout the other two movies. There was definitely going on. There was some attraction there. That kiss was fine. It didn't need to be followed up with a bunch of other stuff. I liked it. So for those of you that didn't like it, screw off.
Yeah, and the thing is, they got to have it both ways. They got to have like all the people that wanted the relationship to come together. They got to have that moment. For all the people that are like, there's no redemption for this guy. He killed Han Solo. Let him die. He died. Right. So they got to essentially please everybody with this moment to an extent.
Except for Star Wars fans, who are not pleased by anything.
Star Wars fans. But essentially please both camps, if you will, with that resolve. And it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was good.
It really was. Then he got to fade out like a Jedi. He had a Jedi's ending where he disappeared, but his clothes remained.
Right.
And that was really nice. Yeah. I liked that, and that he didn't just have a redemption, because he could have the redemption, and then it's like, I don't think he's going to be able to hang out with these people. I don't think that's going to go well.
That's just not the person he was. No, number one, even if he changes, he's still got his personality, which I don't think he's going to join anybody that's goody. Yeah. And number two, all these people hate him.
Oh yeah. With a dying passion.
Yeah.
So that's the way things needed to go, essentially.
No,
but it was nice that he had that redemption story, and that it wasn't just a quick turn like with Darth Vader at the very end of the movie. No, I'm not crapping on that. That's a great movie moment and everything like that. But it's a quick turn. Right. This was, we got to, and it might have only been over the course of like an hour or something like that, but we got to see him change and then do good.
And you know what? The other movies we've seen his moments of doubt as well.
Oh yeah.
You know that before he kills Han, he's like, I want to be good. I want this. But it's just the draw of the dark side was too much for him, and eventually he overcame that.
There was part of me that always thought that they were going to show from that scene, they were going to cut back to it that Han turned the lightsaber on.
Oh,
that Han did it for him.
Han did it for him to give him. Oh,
because
that's interesting.
There's been all these theories. Obviously, Star Wars fans and theories, shocking.
Yeah. But, imagine that.
But there's been all these theories that that he was always going to turn good, not because of what happened in this movie, but because that he was almost like almost like an inside double agent type of thing, that he wanted to destroy the Sith from the inside. When he talks about like, I will finish what you started, when he's talking to his grandfather in these movies, you realize he's kind of picking and choosing what he believes his grandfather was, because his grandfather turned on the dark side at the last minute.
Right.
But that's why there were some people who were like, oh, well, maybe he wants to destroy the Sith, but he's doing it from the inside. So there was part of me that always thought they were going to cut back and show, like, he's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't have the strength to do it. And they were going to show Han Solo.
I bet that was discussed in the writers' room.
Probably. That would have been a cool thing, but I understand why they didn't do it.
There would have been, Star Wars fans would have lost. Han Solo committed suicide. Han Solo would never do that.
They would have.
They would have rioted.
But they wanted. Star Wars is all about redemption stories.
Yeah,
and so they wanted that, place you can never come back from to redeeming yourself in some way, shape, or form. So I get where they were coming from on that.
So I think the most pressing question that wasn't answered was, who's going to continue the last several episodes of Palpatine's podcast? Now he's dead. I'm hoping that Joe Rogan can step in and maybe just
dead air,
finish out the series. Because, so many questions. It would be like, leaving on the 6th episode of Serial.
I got it. The dude from the History Channel. Aliens.
Oh yeah, there you go. I like it. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. Not top 10 movie of the year for me. Simply because I have complicated feelings about it. I had a great experience watching it. I lucked out. My daughter works for a place called the Cloak and Blaster. It's a geek bar here in Orlando, and they bought out the entire theater for just people. So it was just people that really wanted to see this movie. It's opening night. And people were cheering at the right parts and laughing at the right parts and crying at the right parts. And it was wow, it's a good looking taco sitting next to me. So
it's the only thing I wish my viewing would have had was more of the crowd reaction type stuff.
Even my wife said that was the right crowd to see this movie.
Yeah.
There were people dressed up.
Oh,
it was good. Yeah, it was
That's
good.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I it's tough to end not only this movie but the series. I do love that when they get back to the Resistance planet, that they show the moment where Chewie gets the medal. Oh,
yeah, that he's needed. That's right. I almost skipped over that. That was great. That made me tear up a little bit.
That's 30 years in the making right there.
And you know what? The thing is, George Lucas had the opportunity to do that when he did the special editions back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And he could have digitally added a medal to Chewie's chest, but he's Han's dog. He doesn't get a medal. I'm like, stupid.
Yeah, and not only is it like, it's like double important, because not only is he getting the medal, but it's Han's medal.
Yeah.
So like, which I just have to touch real quick. The another moment that got me was when they realized that Leia's gone and Chewie finds out.
Oh my God!
And you see him break down.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this makes me feel really bad.
Oh yeah, like no one else's reaction bothered me as much as that. That really wrecked me with seeing, because he's not only is he distraught that she's gone, that was the last of his friends.
Yeah.
All of his friends are dead now, essentially.
Yeah. Or all the friends that we care about.
Right.
Maz, whatever her name is, I don't really... The big-eyed woman.
His girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend. I'm like, all right, she's fine, but whatever.
So that, and then you have the very end scene where she goes back to Tatooine.
Tatooine, yeah.
I will say it's my wife was mentioning, she's like, why did she bury Leia's lightsaber there? Leia was never there. And I was like, yeah, I get that question, but it was more about those two sabers being put together, and she's not going to Alderaan, which was where Leia was from. Right, that's true. She can't bury it there. So neither one of them are really from there, so there's really not necessarily the best place to put it, right? Type of thing. So it was more, I guess, just because that was his home, right? It's a peaceful place that has some good, some bad memories, type of thing. But and I heard so many people joking about the whole Rey thing, where for 2 movies prior to this, not a single person ever asked this woman her last name. No one ever cared. In this movie, every time she's like, "What's your name, Rey?" Rey what? Well, okay, nosy, like. It's Palpatine, no one's ever asked that the whole time. They're just like, "Who are you?" Just like, "I'm Rey." Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, let's move on. It's Star Wars. We all just kind of use first names. Right. Except for Han Solo. And And so, and then they do it one more time, and you get to see the Force ghost of not only Luke again, but you see the Force ghost of Leia, and she chooses Skywalker. And I know some people have some issue with that, but I've heard from a lot of people that it means a lot to them because it kind of touches on some like real life stuff. You know, there's people that grew up in bad situations, that grew up with bad families, that come from bad blood, if you will. And they had to choose their own family. Right. They had to find their own family. They had to make their own way. And so, you know, some of them even changed their name because of it, type of thing. So to have that in something like a Star Wars movie, to where there are fans that have upbringing like that and have had lives like that, was very, very important. So when I heard that, like, I never had a problem with it. I thought it was okay. Like, I thought it was kind of cool. But then when I heard that, I was like, that
makes more sense.
That's
right.
so much better.
You're
like
right.
to understand that, you know, that it means something like that to other people, because that's essentially what it is. Like, I don't think people are reaching for that conclusion in any way, shape, or form. That's what the story's about, is about finding your own way, making your own choices, not being beholden to what your family is or has done or anything else, whether it's, you know, Palpatine, Skywalker, or otherwise.
Here's something I'm going to predict, just moving on from that a little bit. I think in 20 years, you're going to see a preview for a movie where somebody's walking in the desert and they're looking for something and they finally think they found it. Maybe they're digging up in multiple spaces and they finally come to one spot and they dig it up. Both lightsabers. I picture it happening, which is unfortunate because it's a cash grab.
It's true.
20 years from now, I can picture it.
It is true.
I'm hoping 20 years from now. I'm hoping I'm dead before that happens.
You're probably not wrong.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the future of Star Wars from here on out that doesn't involve the Skywalker family. I want more Mandalorian stories like that. I want more stuff in this fantastic universe where it is so rich and it has so many different species and it is so large and so well made. And I want new stories with new characters. That's what I want. I
never played the Old Republic. Stuff, but everything I've heard about the Old Republic games and everything like that, it's ripe for a live action telling. And there's been rumors about it, but I just want them to go ahead and pull the trigger and do it. That, and then I know that there was another trilogy that they were talking about that has nothing to do with the current one, that's going to be set in like probably another part of the universe, and may or may not even have to do with Jedi necessarily.
That's fine.
You know,
that's fine.
Just give me anything you got.
I don't need the Force brought up at all. I would be fine. I love the way they handled with the child in The Mandalorian, and that he's Force sensitive. I love the way they've handled that, but I would be fine with a show that doesn't touch on the Force at all, or maybe mentions that it exists somewhere out there in the universe, but they don't have to have a Force sensitive person in the show.
Yeah, it's like someo's like the Force, like, I don't believe it. And
right,
that's it.
Yeah, then they move on. Like that mumbo jumbo.
Everyone's like, oh, okay.
No mystical force telling me, guiding my destiny.
So overall, you've pretty much said your thoughts on the movie. Yep. Like, if you had to give it a rating, what would you say?
Out of, let's see, 5 stars, I would probably give it 4.
Okay.
I would give it 4. Still didn't make my top 10 of the year, though. It's I don't know, because it's Star Wars, it kind of sits as its own thing, and I felt disingenuous putting it on a top 10 list.
Understood.
Because it has a different place in my heart than any other movie series has.
It is tough, especially if you grew up on the original trilogy and then saw the prequels when they came out, and just you've been able to like essentially fully grasp the entire Skywalker saga and then some. Yeah. You know, that means something completely different to someone like me that really didn't grow up on Star Wars.
I do want to say one more thing. This is just with The Mandalorian, with the last episode that just came out. I want to say that I did this 30 whatever years before The Mandalorian came out. I had a TIE fighter that fought my action figure of Boba Fett, and he threw his grappling hook around it, and I would drag him around. So I did it way before Jon Favreau did it. Just saying, Jon Favreau, if you'd like to send me a check. Okay, because obviously I've talked about it at some point.
That's fantastic.
I did that way before. I swear I've done that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So how about you? Overall rating, what do you...
It's really tough. I like I said, I've seen it twice. I know I really do love this movie. Honestly, like I say I enjoy it, but I honestly love this movie. I love the new trilogy. You know, even with the problems that I have with the Last Jedi. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This new trilogy had reawakened my love for Star Wars. You know, not to dive too much into it, but like I said, I didn't grow up on the original trilogy. I didn't like the prequels when I saw them when I was young. But something about this, when I saw The Force Awakens, changed my perspective on everything. And ever since then, I've just become more and more enthralled with the entire lore of Star Wars. In the process of trying to go through all the stuff they have between the movies and the series. I'm in the middle of the Clone Wars series right now.
I did see your list. You need to add the 2 Ewok movies in there too.
I'll see about that. We'll see about
There's something.
There's something in there? Okay.
And the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's out there. You can see it.
I know. I don't know if I want to.
Ooh.
I don't. I've heard
B. Arthur singing in a cantina.
I've heard some things on that, and I don't know if I want to.
Art Carney is a junk dealer with an obvious hearing aid that they did not try to. This movie,
that's too funny.
It's so bad. Do yourself a favor, watch it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll give that one a
Wookiee
shot.
watching porn on a virtual reality headset.
I heard about that too.
Yep.
So with all that said, I would have to say that I probably would give this movie, I'm gonna go with my gut. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
All right.
I've gone back and forth between like 8, 8.5, and 9, but if I'm going gut feeling, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. You know, it might not have done every single thing that I wanted it to do. It might have done some things differently that I didn't think it was going to do, but ultimately I loved this movie, and I do think that for what they had to work with and all the obstacles that they had to face, that they were able to close out this saga the best way they possibly could. In JJ I trust.
You know what? He makes good movies.
He really does.
He makes good movies and TV shows.
So it's great stuff, and I'm looking forward to, like we said, I'm looking forward to more and more Star Wars over the years. Maybe get away from the whole Skywalker saga thing.
Yeah, I don't need a Boba Fett movie, and I don't need.
Yeah, well, they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't need a Lando TV series.
Right, we don't need the original trilogy characters.
Speaking of the Lando thing, where it's just a little creepy at the end, where the young woman sits down next to him, and he's like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "I don't know."
I heard that there's a comic that states that they're related. It's not his daughter, but they're related.
And it's still, I mean, the problem is you've got Lando, who is just too smooth.
Yeah,
even at 70 whatever years old, he's just like, "That's right. Come sit next to me, young lady."
He's like, I could still get.
Yeah, I could still pull you.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they have. The only original trilogy thing I need to see past this point is the Obi-Wan series. Other than that, we can get out from this timeline.
No, Obi-Wan would be good.
And do something different. Mandalorian,
you could give me Mandalorian forever. Yeah.
But
the Baby Yoda show.
It's going to be good. And I've talked on Facebook and some other things about Star Wars fans. We made joke about Star Wars fandom. How it can be very, very toxic, and I think people listening or not listening to this right now,
they've turned it off a long time ago.
Yeah, they turned this off a long time ago. Can agree or disagree with that statement, but I'm not going to get on my soapbox too much about this, but we are living in a time that no one Star Wars fan or otherwise thought we would ever live in. We are receiving so much content between movies, TV shows, books, comics, video games, everything.
Theme park rides.
The best
theme park ride probably ever built.
Yeah,
currently.
A whole land at a theme park dedicated to a series that started 42 years ago. And it doesn't matter if you agree with all the decisions, doesn't matter if you like everything that they're doing. I think we all should appreciate what Lucasfilm and Disney has done, especially over the recent years. They might not always make the best choice, but I think that they are working very, very hard at this and trying to please a lot of people when that is very impossible to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say much more about that because I've definitely voiced my opinions about how I feel about certain Star Wars fans. But all I can say is just, you loved these movies for a reason. You loved this series for a reason. Give it another shot. Love each other. Love Star Wars. Love Lucasfilm. Even love Disney. I know that's blasphemous to say for some people, but love Disney and all the stuff that they've been able to bring you. I myself will hopefully be enjoying Star Wars Land again sometime soon. So with all that, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off for Back to the Feature. I'm Andrew.
I'm Chris.
And may the Force be with you.